So today we have yet another plane. I hope you guys don't mind all of the planes reviews lately. I did not plan this at all. It's merely a coincidence. Now, if you're watching this a couple months or maybe years after the original upload date, it doesn't really matter, but a couple days ago, I reviewed Firefighter Dusty, and last weekend, I reviewed Bravo and Echo. Now, unlike those three, Barney Stormin here is not from either of the Planes movies. He's actually one of the planes that appeared in Cars 1. He had a very minor role, yet kind of significant, and we'll talk about that obviously later on in the video. So, regardless, let's jump right into today's suggestion video. Thank you very much for the suggestion, Roan Cox. I hope you enjoy this video, and thanks again for making the suggestion. Now, if any of you out there would like to make a suggestion or a birthday request of your own, I encourage it. I want you to do so, but I just don't want you to suggest something that I've already reviewed or suggest something that is invalid, like the variations of Lightning McQueen, Mater, Ramon, Luigi, and Guido. Now, I know that most of you already know the rules, but if you're new to my channel, there's a link right at the top of the description. It says, feel free to suggest or make a birthday request, but please watch this video first. Just click on that, and in about 11 minutes, you'll be a pro at making suggestions and birthday requests. So, let's get into the review now. We have ARR, appearance, release, and review. So, most of you guys probably know this as well, but Barney Stormin appeared in the first Cars movie, flying over the Los Angeles International Speedway for the last Piston Cup race of that particular season. And obviously, it was between the King, Chick Hicks, and Lightning McQueen. So Barney kind of did like an initiation. He is a biplane, as you can see. Biplane meaning that there are two wings, one on top of the other, because B-I means two. So just kind of giving some basic knowledge out. So he actually wrote a message in the sky saying Piston Cup. Now, I just did some research about how planes can actually do that, biplanes more specifically, and it's basically called exhaust heat, that white stuff that comes out of the tail, and therefore it makes a message. So I know people actually do this in real life, and I just do not even know how you'd even begin to learn how to do that, because it seems so hard. You have to be kind of doing flips and whatnot, going through and finishing off the letters. So it just seems so hard to me. Maybe you know a little bit more about that, so I'm just giving out the basic knowledge. So he drew Piston Cup in the sky there. I'm just flying them around, and then the fighter jets flew by to start the race. Now, if you go to a major event in real life, like a football game or something like that, most of the time, it might even be all of the time, but I'm not entirely sure, they do tend to have jets fly over the stadium as a tradition to start the game or event. So, in the Cars world during the Piston Cup race, they have Marco, Stubop, and Goose fly over the Los Angeles International Speedway. Now, Mattel released Marco and Stubop, but they never released the third jet to fly over, which apparently was named Goose. But here we do have Stubop. Now, my Marco, is hanging from a hook, and as you can see, Stubop has wire on him, but he fell. Yeah, he took a nosedive, so a little disappointing there. And let me tell you, it is hard to get these wires around the plane in the right way so they can hang. And I actually did have Barney Stormin hanging as well, but I took him down, took the wire off, untangled it to make this review. So I don't even know. I don't think I'm going to put him back up again, at least for a while, because it is so painfully difficult to get them back on. So probably he'll just be like a land plane for the time being. So that's how he appeared. The jets kind of like flew through his message, kind of like disintegrating it. I know that's not the right word, but you can imagine like if you have that message and you have these 3 jets going like way faster than the biplane here did, so it kind of like expanded and it became like a cloud essentially, even though it's definitely not a cloud, it's exhaust heat. So now that we're done with A appearance, let's move on to his releases. So he was originally released in 2007 in the Walmart 8. Now this was like a series kind of, even though it wasn't really considered a series, that included 8 new cars that were never released before. And now this is his original release, Barney Stormin, and this is the one that you see out of the package here. So these are the same. This one is just a lot cleaner. This one's pretty dirty because I've had it for almost 10 years. It's like 6.5, not 6.5, 9.5. So if you notice some dirtiness on that, please disregard it. But these two are the same. And now I'm mentioning that because all of the ones released after this are actually different. But getting back to his 2007 release, there were 7 other cars that were brand new. Cactus McQueen, TJ, Charlie Checker, but they actually just called him Piston Cup Pace Car at the time. Corey Turbowitz, Bruiser, Bukowski, Ghostlight Ramon, Alof the Lightyear Blimp, and Barney Stormin himself. And they actually have a description for the series. Look for 8 cool and collectible characters from the hit Disney Pixar movie Cars, now available first at Walmart. So these were not exclusive to Walmart, but they were available first at Walmart because I don't believe some of these actually showed up at Walmart for a couple years. Like Barney Stormin had to wait until the following year. Not really sure about the other ones exactly, but they did all end up at Walmart except for TJ. I believe this version of him, like the small one, because there are actually 2 versions, a small one and the big one, and I think the small one, which is the Walmart version, was only available at Walmart, so that's pretty cool. And now let's move on to Barney's releases beyond 2007. So in 2008, 2009, and in 2010, he was released as a deluxe, mega size, and yes, in 2007 this release was considered a single. They only charged the single price, but the year later when he got metal wings, yes, that's the difference. This one here, that one over there have plastic wings. The ones post 2007 after that had metal wings, and I guess that kind of deems it worthy of being a deluxe because now it has a lot more metal than it used to have. So here is the 2010 release, number 6 apparently, in like an oversized mega size line. I actually found this at Tuesday Morning for only $4, so I cannot pass that up. And they actually gave him some nice art, whereas for the 2007 one, it was directly from the movie, the screenshot right there. And let's just check out the back. We have Barney, Hummer Sven, Richard Clay Kensington, and we have Mac over there as well. So that just about sums it up for his releases. I do not have the metal one out of the package to show. This is the only metal one I have, unfortunately. Maybe I'll try to get one to open in the future, but for now, I'm content with my plastic one because they are the same size. If I put them together, they are the same size, just different wing materials. And that doesn't really like show because, you know, metal and plastic, they look very similar unless you touch them because metal is cold, or it like, let me think about how to phrase this for a second. Metal like absorbs the room temperature, whereas plastic does not. So, you know, typically metal would be like cold to the touch, I think. I'm not really sure, but I learned that from Race Cruise. I believe like he always used to like take something up choose to feel if it was metal or not. And I started doing that because it was a pretty good theory or like a method. So now let's get into the review of Mr. Stormin here. So one thing that I love about him is that huge smile he has, like from this side all the way to the other side. So that's pretty cool. And the propeller does spin. Not as good as like, a plane's propeller. Like, let me pull up my Firebird here. I bet this one, of course, I choose one that does not have a good propeller. Let's see, Sunwing. Yep, see, that's a pretty good propeller. Now, you can already predict. I brought out the biplanes to compare, and we'll get to them later, but I just wanted to show you guys that the propeller, they don't spin as well as most planes' propellers, because the plane sign, they kind of like focus on that, whereas the cars, they focus on cars, and when they do release a plane, they might not like make it the best. But they have not released Barney since 2010, so maybe if they re-released him, he would be better. And honestly, I feel like he would have been a great deluxe for the LA Speedway series. I mean, there are endless opportunities for the LA Speedway, and I feel like they did do a pretty good job, but some race fans like Brad Windmiller or Darla Vanderson, were they really that necessary? Could we have had some better releases? I'm not really sure. Maybe they'll do the LA Speedway series next year or sometime in the future, and we'll get some other pretty sweet releases. But I'm content with what they did for the 2016 LA Speedway series. Now, getting back to Barney, this portion right here is metal. The center wing right here is metal, whereas the two on the side are plastic. Same with this part right here. You can see the line that divides the metal part from the plastic part. Of course, the wings are also plastic. His head in there is also plastic as well. And it's actually pretty interesting because it's like has the hat of an aviator. So that's really, really cool. I love that detail that Disney and Pixar originally implemented in the movie there. So this is Aviator Mater from the short Mater the Greater, and I had to bring him out to show you guys what a larger aviator cap looks like. So that's pretty much what Barney Stormin has, just a lot smaller. Now, one more thing to mention about Barney is the fact that instead of having a wheel like he has up here in the back, he just has a nub. Now, this is not unique to Barney. It actually is on all planes that have two wheels in the front and would only have one in the back. They sacrificed that one for a nub. And this is Mattel trying to save money, but it's understandable and it's not that big of a deal. As you can see on Firebird here, nub. Let me bring out Arturo. So I'm not just comparing biplanes. Arturo has a nub. Let me pull out the iconic Dusty Crop Popper. Nub. So yes, even the most popular planes have a nub. So, getting back to Barney himself, he has a lot of plastic. The only metal on him really is this like center portion right here that kind of like glares like from my finger right there. This finger right here going back, and this part right here is plastic. Front portion is plastic. So I'm actually happy that they did make a metal or a more metal version from 2008 to 2010. And yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but I think you're actually getting something that's worth that amount of money. And when you bought the single for like $3.20 something, because that's what they were priced at in 2007, you were also getting the what you paid for. It was worth that amount of money. And so now that I'm done talking financially, let's get into the comparison of Mr. Stormin to some other biplanes. So here we have Bessie C. Flywell, another biplane that is very similar to Barney. She's actually a little bit shorter than he is. Originally, when Bessie C. Flywell was announced like a year and a half ago, I thought they'd be the same size, but no. Barney has a couple centimeters on her, but he's not that much longer, as you can see there. Now let's check out a couple other biplanes, but they are quite a bit different because they're racing biplanes. Here we have Sunwing. The wing design is a little bit different. As you can see with Barney and Bessie, they're like rounded wings, but the racers that I'll show here kind of have more of a pointed edge there, like a rectangle. But they do have some similarities with the tail wings and whatnot. And another similarity that Bessie and Barney had is that their like faces were a little bit more like pilot-like, whereas these, they're like built into a window in the back. And when I say these, I'm referring to Sunwing and Firebird here, and I'm also referring to Vanderbird, another biplane, but they're all the same model, so I just wanted to show two. As you can see, some similarities, some differences as well. And here is Barney's base, just one little code, that's all. Wow. Just the good old days, I guess you could say, for cars. And this part is attached with a screw, so you could probably unscrew that and you like might be able to get like this bottom portion off, but this part is attached with a rivet, so you'd have a little bit harder time getting that undone. So that is all I think for this review of Mr. Barney Stormin. I hope you guys did enjoy the review, and I hope the video lived up to what you'd hoped it'd be. Roan Cox. I actually have this little tire stack that I got from the Cars Daredevil Garage app promo box. The tires are really the only good things from the box, at least for me, because they work as good stands. I use them quite frequently in my videos to hold stuff up, and as you can see right now, I'm using him to hold up Barney Stormin in the back, because if I didn't, you wouldn't really be able to see his face too well, so we want to see his face. So there we go, perfect angle right there. So that is all for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday for another review. I think that I will actually be able to review the next 2016 singles case L. Let's just hope that Amazon delivers them in time. I think they will, because I've barely had any problems with Amazon's delivery dates. So that's it. Enough droning. I'll see you guys later. Bye now.